Spiritual warfare, understanding heavenly realm battles. Do you ever feel like you're fighting an invisible battle? What if I told you there are unseen forces at play, constantly influencing your life and spiritual walk? Today, we're pulling back the veil on the heavenly realm to uncover the truth about spiritual warfare and how it impacts every believer. Your spiritual journey is under attack, whether you realize it or not. But what if understanding these unseen battles could transform your prayer life, strengthen your faith, and give you an undeniable edge? This video will equip you with essential insights into the nature of spiritual warfare, providing the knowledge you need to overcome every challenge. Unveiling the invisible war. Have you ever felt it? That persistent, invisible friction in your life, a nagging doubt that shadows your best ideas, a sudden fear that paralyzes your resolve, or an inexplicable tension that tears at your relationships? You are not alone. This common feeling of invisible struggles is more than just bad luck or coincidence. What we are talking about is spiritual warfare, a literal, unseen conflict happening right now in a dimension that intersects our own. It is the clash between the forces of light and the forces of darkness. The deeper implication of this? Your life's greatest challenges are often echoes of this greater conflict. Understanding this truth is the key to moving from confusion and feeling like a victim to clarity and living with authority. The heavenly realm. Battlefield. Explained to grasp the war, we must understand the battlefield, the heavenly realm. Defining the battlefield, forget the image of a distant cloud-filled paradise. In the context of spiritual warfare, the heavenly realm perennios is the spiritual dimension that exists concurrently and interpenetrates our physical reality. It is where pure spiritual entities operate and where the governing spiritual laws are enacted. It is not a distant place, but a different layer of existence impacting our daily lives. The spiritual entities involved. The conflict is waged between two primary camps, each with a hierarchy. Force of light, the divine. Force of darkness, the adversary. Angels, messengers, protectors, and executors of God's will. Demons are evil spirits, fallen angels and malevolent spirits driven to oppose the divine plan. Archangels and seraphim, high-ranking spiritual beings with great power and specific mandates. Principalities and powers, high-ranking demonic forces that govern regions, systems, and ideologies, often mentioned in the New Testament as archai and exousiai. The Spirit of God, the active, empowering, and transforming presence of the divine creator, the ultimate source of all power. The adversary, Satan devil, the chief strategist and ultimate opponent of the divine, whose aim is to steal, kill, and destroy. The purpose of this conflict. The war is fundamentally about two things: God's plan and human destiny. Souls. The spiritual realm values the human soul above all. The enemy seeks to blind and capture souls, leading them away from their divine purpose. Destinies. The conflict is aimed at derailing your divine mandate, the unique positive impact you were created to have on the world. Attackers target your identity, relationships, and calling to prevent this destiny from manifesting, the will of the divine. The ultimate conflict is the resistance of the forces of darkness against the progressive establishment of goodness, justice, and love on earth, as intended by the Creator. Recognizing the enemy's tactics. The enemy does not usually appear with horns and a pitchfork. The attacks are subtle, psychological, and highly personal. Common spiritual attacks. Here are the most detailed and common battlefronts. Tactic description. Manifestation in daily life. Doubt diacrisis. Planting seeds of uncertainty about your worth, your calling, or the divine's faithfulness. Procrastination. Perfectionism. Fear of failure. Constant second-guessing of good decisions. Fear phobos. Creating an overwhelming anxiety about the future, finances, health, or relationships. Paralysis, avoidance, panic attacks, or an irrational sense of impending disaster. Division, schisma, exploiting misunderstandings and hurts to create chasms between spouses, families, and communities. Bitterness, unforgiveness, gossip, cycles of destructive conflict in close relationships. Temptation, peirasmos, luring a person toward behaviors or attitudes that violate their moral compass and spiritual health. Addictions, lust, greed, or the rationalization of destructive shortcuts. Deception plane, distorting truth to make what is wrong look right, or what is destructive appear beneficial. Believing lies about oneself, embracing false narratives, I'm not lovable, or following destructive ideologies. Emphasizing the defense. Understanding the tactics is the first step to defense. When you can name the tactic, this is not just me being anxious. This is the spirit of fear attacking my peace. You take away its invisible power and gain the ability to choose a divine response instead of a reactive, emotional one. Equipping for spiritual combat. We are not left defenseless. The divine has provided an armory and a strategy. Biblical principles and practical tools. The most effective tools for spiritual defense are timeless and accessible. Prayer, the communication line. More than asking for things, prayer is authoritative communion. It is declaring the divine's will into the earthly realm and drawing down spiritual power. Real-world example. When faced with an overwhelming financial fear, one can stop and decree, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," thus replacing the spirit of fear with the spirit of faith. Scripture, the sword of the Spirit. The revealed truth of the divine is a powerful weapon against deception. It sets the standard against which all temptations and lies are measured. Real-world example. When tempted to give in to a destructive habit, using a specific promise from Scripture like, "You were bought at a price, therefore glorify God in your body," Corinthians 6:20, cuts through the temptation's rationalization. Community, the body shields. We are not meant to fight alone. A community of like-minded believers provides accountability, mutual support, and protection. Real-world example. A person struggling with depression finds resilience because their spiritual friends hold them accountable to healthy habits and speak life-affirming words over them when they cannot speak them over themselves. Actionable steps for resilience. Be conscious. Start your day acknowledging the spiritual reality. Speak truth. When a lie or fear surfaces, immediately counter it out loud with a proven divine truth, a scripture or affirmation. Establish boundaries. Draw clear, non-negotiable lines against activities, relationships, or media that consistently invite darkness or compromise your peace. Living victorious in the unseen battle. The ultimate aim is not merely to survive the attacks, but to reign in the midst of them. Proactive spiritual growth and offensive strategies shift your focus from defense, blocking attacks, to offense, advancing the divine's purposes. Worship and thanksgiving. These are offensive weapons. They shift the atmosphere around you from tension to peace, disarming the enemy's power to operate in negativity. Acts of kindness and service. Every act of genuine love, compassion, and justice is an advance of the divine kingdom, pushing back the darkness in your sphere of influence. Intercession. Praying not just for yourself, but for others, for your city, and for the world. This is the act of a spiritual warrior claiming territory. The ultimate victory. Never forget this foundational truth. The ultimate victory has already been secured. Through the greatest act of love and sacrifice in human history, the authority of the forces of darkness was broken. You do not fight for victory. You fight from victory. Your strength is not in your willpower, but in your faith and your divine authority, the spiritual right given to you to stand against the darkness. I apply these insights. Dedicate time each day to strengthen your spiritual core through prayer and truth. Look at your challenges not as random misfortune, but as opportunities to exercise the authority you possess. This is how you move from merely struggling to living a life empowered, victorious, and truly free in the unseen battle.